This ain't just a channel, this is BBTV.
Welcome to Monday Petty Monday, where we don't start drama, we just document it. If something annoyed you, irritated you, or lived rent-free in your head all week, you're in the right place.
A boss be rising, BBTV's igniting, turn the volume up. Yeah, the whole world's invited, from the gravel road to the neon dream. She built an empire out of broken wings. Boss be rising, sky ain't even the ceiling. When she hits go live, everybody feels it.
Hey, what's up? Welcome to Ask a Bee, and it is Monday, Petty Monday. And I need y'all to go ahead and settle in because I already know somebody done tested you today, okay? It don't even matter what time it is. It don't matter where you're at. Somebody somewhere woke up and said, you know what? I'm going to try her today. And you're sitting there like, why? Why me? Why today? What did I do to deserve this level of nonsense before I even got my day started? Because let me tell y'all something about Monday. Monday already came in with an attitude. Monday, it never eases you into anything. Monday don't say good morning. How you feeling? Did you rest? No. Monday comes in like, get up, we got things to do. And then on top of that, here comes people. People with opinions, people with timing, people with energy that don't match yours at all. And somehow you're the one that got to deal with it, right? And see, that's what we are talking about today, because it's Monday, Petty Monday, right? And we're not talking about big, dramatic petty. We're not talking about the kind that got everybody arguing and going back and forth. No. We're talking about that everyday petty, that kind that just sneaks up on you, the kind, that builds up over time, that has you sitting there thinking, I know I'm not the only one seeing this right now. And since we're right here coming up on April Fool's Day, I said, you know what? This is the perfect time to have this conversation, because everybody wants to be funny, right? Everybody wants to pull a prank. Everybody's got a joke, but don't nobody ever stop and think, is this actually funny, or am I stressing somebody out for no reason? Because look, there is a very thin line between funny and foolish, real thin. You got me? And some people cross that line so quick, they don't even realize they did it. And then you're left sitting there trying to figure out if you're supposed to laugh or if you're supposed to check. And that right there is where the stress comes in, because now it's not even about what happened. It's about how it made you feel. And let me tell y'all something. Stress don't always come from big things. Sometimes stress comes from little moments repeated over and over again. It comes from stress or people that don't know how to read the room, right? People that always got something to say. People that think everything is a joke and you just trying to keep your peace. Look, that's why we're having this conversation today, because we don't talk about it. We end up carrying it with us. We end up holding on to it, replaying it, letting it build up. And before you know it, you're reacting to something small like it's something huge because you never dealt with it when it first happened. And I know I'm not the only one, because y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. You can think of somebody right now. Don't even try to act like you can't. Somebody that always got you looking at them sideways. Somebody that always doing just enough to get on your nerves, but not enough for you to say something without feeling like doing too much, right? That's the space that we are in today. And I want y'all to really sit with this as we go through these two stories, as we talk about these moments, because it's not just about the artist. It's not just about what they did. It's about how it connects back to real life, and recognizing those same patterns in your own space and deciding what you're going to do with it. Because at the end of the day, protecting your peace is your responsibility. And that don't mean you got to be rude. It don't mean you got to be disrespectful. It just means you got to be aware, and awareness is where everything starts. Hi, Liam. Good to have you. Thank you for being here. So, because once you see it, okay, once you recognize it, once you understand it truly, you stop getting caught off guard. You stop letting things slide that shouldn't slide, and you start moving different. And that right there is what we are building today. Not just conversation, but awareness. So go ahead and get comfortable because we're about to get into this. And I know y'all have already seen, pardon me, one second. I know y'all have already seen the name up there that I usually put. Sorry, I'm trying to get my stuff together and talk at the same time. Chew gum and walk. I don't do that. Okay, so our first candidate here. Let me slide over because I got pictures. Of course, I got pictures. I mean, they're pretty, right? Alrighty. And I didn't organize them, but we're good. So, Drake. Yes, Drake. Listen, we're going to start this thing off with him. And I need y'all to really stay with me on this one because, look, on the surface, Drake does not come off like somebody that's going to have you sitting there questioning him for being petty. He's smooth, right? He's controlled. He moves like somebody that already knows the outcome before he even steps into the situation. And that right there is what makes this kind of petty hit different because it don't be loud, it don't be messy, it don't be somebody throwing a fit or popping off. It's like that quiet, intentional energy, okay, where you can tell a decision was made ahead of time. And see, that's the kind that will have you stuck because you can't even call it out clean without sounding like you're reaching. You ever deal with somebody like that? The kind that smile, keep everything calm, keep everything polished, but every move they make has got to be a little extra weight like on it. Like it ain't random, right? It's placed. Pardon me. That's Drake energy right there. Plain and simple. And you know it when you see it because it lingers a little longer than it should. Now let's talk about this moment where Drake stepped out in disguise, moving around like a regular person, interacting with people, handing out money, and everybody watching from the outside like, oh, that's so nice, that's generous, that's so beautiful. And yes, it is. I'm not taking that away from him at all. But at the same time, you got to ask yourself, why do it like that? Because you see, once you add disguise into the mix, once you add performance into the mix, now it's not just generosity anymore. Now it's a setup. And a dry setup, apparently. Pardon me. And when something is a setup, I'm going to ask plain and simple, what's the intention behind it? Is it really all about helping people or is it about the moment? Is it PR? Is it about giving or is it about controlling how the giving is received? Because those are two completely different energies, right? And you can feel the difference. Even if you can't explain it right away. And I know somebody listening right now already feeling me on this because you had somebody do something for you before that looked good on the outside but felt a little off on the end. Like, yeah, I appreciate it, but something about the way you did that didn't sit right with me. That's the layer we're talking about. Because when you step into a situation in disguise, when you present yourself as something other than what you are, you're controlling the interaction from the very beginning. You're deciding how people are going to respond before they even know what's really happening. And that's power. It is. And power ain't always loud. Sometimes power is quiet. Sometimes power is subtle. Power is just knowing something that everybody else in the room does not know yet. Right? And yeah, in Drake's situation, it turned out positive. People got money. People got help. People walked away with a smile. But let's slow this down for just a second, maybe. Because Monday Petty Monday is about slowing things down and really looking at what happens underneath the surface. Imagine being in that moment, not knowing what's really going on. Imagine interacting with someone thinking this is just a regular situation, and then later finding out you were part of something bigger without your full awareness. Yeah, that changes the feeling of it just a little bit. Just a little. Because now it's not just about what you received, it's about how you were positioned in it, in that moment. And you know what? People are on hard times right now. And see, that's where I start looking at it from a Monday Petty Monday perspective. Because petty don't always look like attitude. Sometimes petty looks like control. Seriously. Sometimes petty looks like knowing more than everybody else in the room and choosing not to level the playing field because you want that reaction. And Drake is very good at controlling moments, very good at understanding people, and you know what, very good at knowing how something is going to land before it even happens. And that's strength. It is. Don't get me wrong here. But every strength has got a flip side, don't it? Because when you can control a moment that well, you can also create situations where people don't get to respond naturally. And that's where it gets a little tricky because now you're not just part of the moment, you're directing it. And there's a difference between being present and being in control. And when you think about it, how many times in your own life have you dealt with somebody that moves like that? Somebody that already knows how you're going to react before they even say something. Somebody that set things up in a way where you don't even realize you've been guided into a response. That's not loud. It's not messy, but it is something that you feel after the fact. You sit there later like, hold on. Why do I feel like that was already planned? And that's the energy. That's what we're talking about. Because Drake don't do nothing by accident. Okay? Most artists don't. And for me, picking out those PR stunts, I mean, it's been done a million times, hadn't it? Think about it. You know, that's one thing that you can say about him, though. Okay? Everything is thought out, everything is intentional, everything has a purpose. And when you bring that kind of mindset into situations that involve other people, you got to be mindful of how that lands. Because not everybody wants to be part of a moment they didn't sign up for. Not everybody wants to be surprised or wants to be put in a position where they don't have all the information. And yeah, it might end well, but that don't change the fact that it could have gone a completely different way depending on the person. And see, that's where the conversation gets real because it's easy to clap for something when it turns out good, but it's harder to sit with the fact that the same setup could have created a different outcome if the person involved responded differently. Just like I say all the time, all you see is reels. You see the happy parts, the good parts, the parts where everybody is just hunky dory with what's going on, but you don't see what's going on behind the scenes, right? And I think that's an important thing to think about when it comes to these artists and their images, and because they're layered. And I really think that's what makes it layered because now, it's not just about what happened, it's about what could have happened. And when you start thinking like that, you start realizing that some of the things we call generous, some of the things we call thoughtful, or we celebrate, they have layers to them too. And it don't make them wrong, but it does make them worth talking about. If we bring this out of the celebrity world and into real life, you got people that do this every day on a smaller scale. I mean, I know y'all have seen the creators and everything. That's you out there, Paul. But seriously, that's the thing. Creators are out there doing this all the time. And look at Mr. Beast. Look at PewDiePie. Look at, gosh, I could name quite a few that I was watching even before I became a content creator. And there's lots of people doing that. People that test you, people that set things up, people that already know what they're doing, but act like it just happened. And you're sitting there like, no, you knew what was going to happen. Why do I have to pretend? I mean, thank you for the help, but it's a stunt. You knew exactly how that was going to land. And that's where the petty comes in for me. Not loud, not obvious, just intentional. And intentional can be powerful, but it can also be a little manipulative if we're not paying attention. And let me tell y'all something, because this is where it shifted for me. It's not even always about what somebody does, it's about how it makes you feel afterwards. You know, it, Gifts are amazing. And I don't think that I would ever deny one. Come on, we don't deny gifts. But when you give somebody something and then, they put you in a position after that you didn't know you were going to be in, but you really need the help, then you're forced into something that you don't feel comfortable about later. And you can laugh in the moment, you can smile in the moment, you can go along with it in the moment, but later on, when you're sitting by yourself and you're replaying it in your head, that's when the truth comes out. It's like, wow, you got me. I mean, sure, thanks, but you got me. That's when you start asking yourself, was that really for me or was that for them? Was that really about helping or was it about creating a moment for them, a PR stunt? And when you start asking those questions, you start seeing things differently. Yeah, it's an amazing gift. Sure, he's probably a pretty nice guy. Hey, maybe it's his agent telling him to do it. There's lots of people probably to blame other than just Drake. But let me tell you something. Come on. You're going to see this differently once you think about it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it, right? You can't unsee it. You start protecting your energy a little bit better. You start recognizing patterns. You start catching things earlier. And that's where your power comes back in. Because now you're not just reacting, you're choosing how you respond. And that right there is what Monday Petty Monday is really about today, because it's not about calling people out just to call them out. It's about recognizing that these patterns that stress you out, the behaviors that throw you off, and the moments that leave you feeling like something ain't sitting right, and deciding how you're going to move differently next time. No, I'm not saying every time, Drake's going to show up at your house and, oh, well, we didn't do it right the last time. Let's do it again. And here, you can have a little extra. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is in those moments when people offered their help, but it's not for you, and Drake, in moments like this, he gives a perfect example of how something can look one way on the outside and still have a whole different layer underneath. And if you don't slow down and really look at it, you'll miss it completely. But once you catch it, you catch it. And when you do catch it, you start moving different. And that right there, that's the whole shift, at least for me. Hi, Patty friend. Yes, ma'am. I try to get all kinds of new stuff, but you know what? It's Patty friends that get me out here doing it, honey. I love you. Thank you for being here. That's my Patty friend, y'all. She's the best. So it's a little early, but I'm a little anxious because guess what? Boss B Rising has changed. So here's the thing. I've been playing this same old tired song for months now, and I've redone it. And this time, oh, Patty friend, I hope you're listening. This time it's me. Okay. And yeah, yeah. So don't be saying ugly things, okay? Because here it comes. I love you guys. I'll be right back. It's break time.
Boss B. Press go! Yeah. Press go. Yeah. I don't warm up, I just hit go. Half these moves I don't even know. Still ain't solid, still stay loud. Turn one stream into a whole damn crowd. Didn't come clean, didn't come neat. Built this thing while missing sleep. If it breaks, I build it fast. I don't sit, I move right past. I ain't waiting for the green light glow. Whole thing moving before I say go. If it shakes, let it shake. I adjust on sight. Turn one wrong move into something right. Press go, don't overthink it. If it moves, then I'm in it. BBTV, yeah, we run it. Didn't plan it, still done it. Press go, no pause, no edit. If I start, I don't dead it. Not rising, I've been did it. Now I move like I'm in it. Press go. Now I move like I'm in it. I don't chase what I already made. Seen too much just to be afraid. Some days loud, some days low. Still everything I touch gon' grow. Laugh through chaos, talk through noise. Turn real life into my choice. If it flicks, I flip it twice. I don't roll, I control the dice. Ain't no clean take, ain't no reset. Everything live, I ain't done it yet. If it hits wrong, I rewrite fast. Future moving, I don't live in past. Press go, don't overthink it. If it moves, then I'm in it. BBTV, yeah, we run it. Didn't plan it, still done it. Press go, no pause, no edit. If I start, I don't dead it. Not rising, I've been did it. Now I move like I'm in it. No script, no pause, no clean lines, no second thoughts. I don't wait for perfect timing, I just move when it hits, that's all I got. Messy, loud, still ends clean. Built this whole thing in between. Every moment I didn't know, still turned into something I can show. Press go.
I knew you'd like that, Patty Fran. You'd hear that country too, huh? Yeah, I had to do it. I had to do it. All right. We're going to sit in the second one now. We're going to shift it a little bit because this one's a bit different. There goes my country right there, different. All right, here we go. Sliding over. You know me. Got to get out of there. Now then, our next little culprit. I know we know who this one is. It's in the title, Eminem. So we're going to shift. And this one right here is a whole different kind of petty. Because where Drake is smooth and controlled, Eminem is the kind that will look you dead in your face and let you know exactly what time it is. And somehow still have you laughing at the same time. And that's a dangerous combination right there because when somebody can say something out of pocket, something that should have you upset, and you still find yourself smirking a little bit, that's a different level. That is a whole different place to be. And see, Eminem built a whole career off of that entire energy. He don't hide it. He don't dress it up and he don't try to make it pretty, right? He just says it. And then you figure out how you feel about it afterwards. Now, right there is what makes this kind of petty hit different because it's not subtle, it's intentional, it's completely different. It's that kind of petty where you know it's coming, you see it coming, and somehow you still are not ready for when it hits. Now, when we talk about prank energy, okay, when we talk about that line between funny and foolish, because you know it's coming up, April Fool's Day, everybody pranking everybody. Listen, Eminem is one of those artists that has always played right on that edge. Not always in the traditional prank sense, like, you know, hiding behind something or jumping out, scaring people, but in the way he creates moments that feel like a setup. The way he'll say something outrageous, something unexpected, right? Something that makes you stop and go, hold on, did he really just say that? And then by the time you catch up, the moment has already moved on, and now you're stuck sitting there processing it. That's his version of a prank. It's psychological, it's verbal, it's knowing exactly how far he can push something before it snaps, and then stepping right up to that line anyway. And see, that's where this ties into Money Petty Monday. Because just like with Drake, it's about intention. Eminem knows exactly what he's doing. He knows how his words land. He knows how people react to his words. And he leans into that. Come on. It's all in his music. Seriously. And let me tell y'all something. Because this is where it gets interesting. When somebody knows exactly how to get a reaction out of you and they keep doing it, at what point does it stop being funny and start being stressful? Hmm? Because it's one thing to laugh at something one time. It's another thing when you feel like you constantly got to be on guard because you don't know what's coming next. And that's the energy that Eminem brings sometimes. Okay, most of the time. It's unpredictable, it's sharp, it's quick, and it don't always leave room for you to get comfortable. And I know somebody listening right now already thinking about something in their own life like that because it happens. Eminem may be an artist, he may be a celebrity well known. Everybody knows his name. But let me tell you something. He's human, just like the rest of us. You know, and he is one of those that has always got something to say, right? Always a joke, always pushing in the line just a little bit further than it needs to go. And everybody else is laughing about it. Everybody entertained. And you're sitting there like, yeah, but this is getting old. That's the conversation. Because when you're dealing with somebody like that, it can go from funny to frustrating, like in 0 to 60, right? And Eminem has had plenty of moments where people didn't know whether to laugh or be offended. And that right there is the gray area we're talking about. Because Prank energy is only fun when everybody involved is actually enjoying it. The moment it becomes one sided, the moment it starts putting somebody else in a position where they got to just take it, that's when it shifts. And Eminem, he's always had that edge where he'll say something so bold, so direct, so unfiltered that you almost feel like you're part of something you didn't sign up for. His music is every bit that. And again, it works for him. It built his brand, it made him who he is. But when you bring that kind of energy into real life, it don't always land the same because not everybody wants to be a part of somebody else's moment. Not everybody wants to be the punchline. Not everybody wants to be caught off guard. To be in a situation where they got to laugh it off just to keep things from getting awkward. And that right there is where the stress comes in big time. Now, April is the stress awareness month. That's why I'm dipping into stress right now, just to let you know. But because now it's not just about the joke, it's about how it makes you feel. It's about the moment after where replay it in your head and think, was that really necessary? I mean, Eminem's style forces that question constantly. It forces you to decide where your line is. It also forces you to figure out what you're willing to laugh at and what you're not. That's powerful. But it can also be exhausting if you're on the receiving end of that kind of energy all the time. And I'm going to say this because somebody needs to hear it. Just because something is funny to everybody else does not mean it has to be funny to you. Okay? And just because somebody is known for pushing boundaries does not mean that you have to be comfortable with where they push them. That's the lesson in this. Because when you look at Eminem, you see somebody that has mastered the art of reaction. He knows how to get it. He knows how to hold it. And he knows how to move on before you fully process it. That's impressive, right? But it also shows you how easy it is for people to create moments that leave you sitting there feeling some type of way, right? And you know what? That's what Monday Petty Monday is really about, I think. It's about recognizing those moments. It's about catching that feeling when something don't sit right. Even if everybody else is laughing, it's about understanding that your reaction, it is valid, even if it's different from the crowd. Different. I will never get over saying that, will I? I try. And when you bring it back to real life, okay, you start seeing how many people move like that. You start seeing how many people use humor as a cover, how many people push limits and they say, I'm just joking, when it don't land the way they expected. And that's where you got to decide how you're going to handle it. Are you going to laugh it off every time? Probably not. Are you going to say something? Eventually, are you going to set a boundary? Again, because obviously the boundary's already been broken or you wouldn't be saying anything in the first place, right? Pardon me. Because at some point, protecting your peace has to matter more than protecting the moment. And that's the shift. Because once you realize that you don't have to participate in every single joke, you don't have to go along with every setup, you don't even have to be a part of every reaction. You start moving different. You start choosing your energy instead of just reacting to whatever gets thrown at you. And Eminem, in his own way, shows you exactly how powerful that kind of energy can be. Because if you don't pay attention, you'll find yourself caught up in it before you even realize what happened. But once you see it, once you understand it, once you recognize that pattern, you start catching it early. And when you catch it early, you get to decide how it ends for you. And that right there, that's the power that you don't give away. I mean, you got to hold on to that stuff. And, you know, There's a lot more than just this that's been petty about this young man. LMAO. Hey, cool. Glad you thought it was funny. Bro Han Solo. Oh, cool. Star Wars. Love it. All right, bro. Good to have you. But the whole point that I'm saying here is, the man can be petty, okay? And look, we all like to think that we grow out of that stuff, right? Eventually we do, maybe. But it's those situations that you can pull yourself out of just by watching for patterns. That's my whole point. Patterns are everywhere, even in people, and the way that they handle things. And like for Eminem, if you listen to his music, the words in his music say more about his life than you think. It's not him just spouting off some words. It's his life. And he's putting it out there for everybody to see, everybody to read, everybody to listen to, everybody to sing to, because come on. I mean, the real Slim Shady, y'all. I'm going to get up there and dance with that one. So listen, I'm really early today, but I have a lot going on. I am studying for a new job, a data analyst job, and it is tough stuff. But I managed to get an extension on the uh, test date because, yes, I have to take a test to do it. I qualify. I just have to take a test to be able to do all this. It's a remote job, so they have to know that I'm going to do what I'm supposed to do, right? So I have to get back to studying. I also have two other jobs that I've got three to choose from, and I'm not sure what to do myself. But it's been baby butt weekend all weekend long, so it's been a long one, and I need to get some stuff done. So I am going to get out of here. But listen, before we get out of here, I need y'all to sit with this for just a second because look, we laughed, we talked about it, we called it out. But I already know when this show ends, some of y'all still got to go back into the same spaces with the same people doing the same things. Okay. And look, that's where it really matters because it's one thing to hear it, it's another thing to recognize it when it's happening in real time. And let's be honest, some of the stuff that stresses you out the most ain't even big and dramatic situations. It's the little things that keep repeating the same tone, the same comments, the same behavior that just keeps showing up like it don't know when to stop. And you're sitting there like, okay, here we go again. And after a while, it's not even about what they did in that moment. It's everything that came before. It's stacking up on top of each other. That's why something small can hit you so big. Because if it's small, not small anymore, it's built up, right? And the crazy part is people on the outside don't even see it like that. They're looking at you like, why are you acting like that? Why are you so irritated? Why are you so short? And you're sitting there like, if you only knew how many times this has happened before this moment right here, you wouldn't even ask me that question. And that's why awareness matters. Stress awareness, especially. You guys take care of yourselves, okay? Not so you can go off on people, not so you can match energy every time, but so you can catch it before it catches you. Because once you start recognizing those patterns, once you start to see it for what it really is, you don't get pulled all the way in the same way, right? You might still feel it. You might still have that moment where you just got to pause and collect yourself. But it don't take over your whole mood, your whole day, your whole energy the way it used to, okay? And let me tell y'all something else, because this is where it shifts for real for you now. You don't have to respond to everything. You don't have to explain yourself every time. Don't respond. Walk away. Give yourself 2 seconds. Walk away. You don't have to sit there and entertain behavior that you already know is not going anywhere. Sometimes the best thing that you can do is recognize it, acknowledge it, and decide how much of your energy actually deserves it. Okay? Bye, honey. Love you, Patty friend. because everything don't deserve a reaction, okay? Everything don't deserve your full attention, and some people will keep doing the same thing as long as they keep getting the same response from you. So when you start moving different, when you start pulling your energy back just a little bit, right? When you stop feeding into the same way, you'll be surprised how things start shifting around for you. Not always right away, not always perfectly, but enough for you to feel the difference. And that's really what this is about. Not changing everybody else, not fixing every situation, but changing how you move through it. Because you can't control what people do, but you can control how much of it you carry. And some of the stuff we've been carrying, we don't even need to be holding on to like that. We just got used to it. We got used to brushing it off. We got used to laughing it off. And saying it's not that serious. But deep down, you know exactly what it is. Once you admit that to yourself, once you stop downplaying it, to keep things smooth, you start moving a little different. You start protecting your peace in small ways. You start choosing when to engage and when to step back. And no, it's not always easy. And no, you're not always going to get it right. But even the awareness alone makes a difference. Don't be stressed. Okay? Because now you're not just reacting, you're choosing. And that right there is where your power is. Not in controlling the situation, not in making everybody act right, but in deciding how you show up in it. So as you move through the rest of your day, the rest of your week, I want you to pay attention. Pay attention to what keeps coming up. Pay attention to what keeps bothering you. Pay attention to what feels small but hits big, because that's usually where something needs to shift. And when you catch it, when you recognize it, you don't have to make a whole scene. You don't have to turn it into something bigger than it needs to be. Sometimes it's just enough to say, okay, I see what this is. And I'm not about to let it take me all the way out. Okay? Y'all take care of yourselves. And that right there is how you start taking your energy back piece by piece. And once you start doing that, it gets easier. Not perfect, not overnight, but easier. And that's enough. So go ahead, carry that with you. And I'll catch y'all tomorrow. Same crime, same time. You know how that goes. All right, get over there to see my tuber chat buds, would you please? And hey, Ladies Diaries coming up April Fool's Day too. We're talking about stress and the fools that cause it. Y'all, I'll see y'all soon. Buzz you later.
I want to take a minute to shout out Tuber Chat. If you're a creator who's tired of surface level advice, says, and actually wants to understand how YouTube works, that's the space. It's real conversations with real creators who are in the trenches building channels, testing ideas. No posturing, no gatekeeping, no fake guru energy, just people sharing what's working, what isn't, and why.
If you're serious about growing, learning, and not doing this alone, check out Tuber Chat. The link is in the description. If you're enjoying this show, subscribing is the easiest way to support what's being built here on BBTV. You'll see the join button right next to subscribe. No pressure, no expectations, just an option for people who want to support the channel in a real way. We're live every day at 3 p.m. Central now. And don't worry, we didn't change the heat, just the clock. And if you've got a story you want to share, send it in. Anonymous is always fine.
A boss be rising, baby TV.